Today we're diving into a little spicy online feud that's been setting Twitter on fire. Riley Gaines versus Simone Biles. But this is not just about two female athletes beefing, it's about the future of women's sports. And I think you already know which side I'm on. Team Riley, of course. Riley Gaines is a former NCAA swimmer and has become a leading voice for protecting women's sports from the invasion of biological males who self-identify as trans women. Recently, gymnastics icon Simone Biles came after Riley on X, and this is what she said. "Riley Gaines, you're truly sick. All of this campaigning because you lost a race. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. Maybe a transgender category in all sports, but instead you bully them. One thing for sure is no one in sports is safe with you around." Wow, Simone seems lovely. Riley speaking up after watching a man take a trophy that belonged to a woman is not whining, and it's definitely not a tantrum. That's courage. Why on earth should Riley uplift the very trans women who are shattering women's opportunities, records, and dreams? It's absurd. It's like Simone is asking Riley to kiss the feet of the ones who are kicking her in the face. Competing in professional sports is not a human right. And it's incredibly dishonest to claim that trans women are entitled to be in women's spaces, like women's sports. And also, the truth is, the physical gender transition comes with limitations. To use myself as an example, I'm a trans man, and I don't go to the male locker rooms where they're naked. Maybe I could, or maybe there's a workaround, but I choose not to. It doesn't bother me at all because I understand that certain boundaries exist for a reason. And that's one of the biggest differences between real transsexuals and the activists hijacking the trans community. Real transsexuals, just like most people, respect boundaries, but the angry activists, the fake trans people, don't. They only care about themselves. Anyway, back to the tweet. Simone Biles just repeated the usual talking points. You know, trans people just want to feel safe. We should uplift them, respect them, love them, and make them feel included. And on the surface, it all sounds compassionate or empathetic, and maybe like something you agree with. But remember, people, it's bullshit. It's a smokescreen. What it actually means is giving self-identified trans women free access to dominate in women's spaces, in this case, in women's sports. What it actually means is giving self-identified trans women free access to dominate in women's spaces, in this case, in women's sports, at the expense of female athletes, and it's ridiculous. Moving on, what really stands out in this feud is the painfully obvious hypocrisy. Simone Biles has been very outspoken about being bullied for looking too manly due to her muscular physique. Listen to this.
"I got made fun of for my arms a lot. Some people would say like mean things. At the time, it didn't make me feel the best, so I wore sweaters or jackets all year long. Now I show off my arms all the time." To me, healthy body image is when you feel confident with yourself, in and out.
There have been phases where I feel like since I'm short, my muscle just stays like stacked and compacted, and I wish I was a little bit taller to lean it out. But then I'm like, you know what? God gave me this body for a reason.
To body shamers, what do you say? I feel like if you love your body, then that's all you can do, so it doesn't matter what anybody else says. So I think they have to learn to fall in love with themselves, and I think it's out of jealousy sometimes.
Despite her promoting body positivity, that didn't stop Simone from writing this about Riley. Bully someone your own size, which would ironically be a male. That's right, the same woman who was once mocked for looking too manly, just called another woman's body manly. Simone, let me get this straight. You were bullied for having a muscular physique, so you become this public advocate for female body positivity. But now you're body shaming another woman for the same thing. And somehow, that woman, Riley, is the bully? How does that work? What's so funny is that by mocking Riley, saying she has a manly body, Simone is admitting that there are physical differences between men and women. The very thing she wants us to ignore. So Simone, I'm just curious, what does it mean to look like a man? And can you answer that without accidentally arguing against trans women in women's sports? I'll wait. Body shaming is not the only hypocrisy here. Something way more serious and something deeply unsettling needs to be addressed. Simone Biles was one of hundreds of young female athletes who were sexually assaulted by the team doctor Larry Nassar, I don't know. It's such a heartbreaking case. So many women were violated in places they were supposed to feel safe, and by someone they were told they could trust. We're talking about a man who used his access to women's sports to exploit and to harm young female athletes. It's so disgusting and unforgivable. And I think you already know where I'm going with this, but first, let's listen to Simone testifying against Larry Nassar.
I am also a survivor of sexual abuse, and I believe without a doubt that the circumstances that led to my abuse and allowed it to continue are directly the result of the fact that the organizations created by Congress to oversee and protect me as an athlete, USA Gymnastics, and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee failed to do their jobs. I don't want another young gymnast, Olympic athlete, or any individual to experience the horror that I and hundreds of others have endured. To be clear, I blame Larry Nassar, and I also blame an entire system that enabled and perpetrated his abuse.
Simone knows what it's like to be vulnerable in women-only spaces. She has seen firsthand how men can exploit the rules to harm women. And now she's blindly promoting the idea that any man who simply identifies as a woman should be welcomed into those same spaces, women-only spaces. That doesn't make sense to me, and I know we're talking about two different scenarios. We're not talking about the same thing. And I'm not saying that by allowing trans women into women's spaces, it will automatically lead to abuse, sexual, physical, whatever. But if we don't have any safeguards, just taking a man's word that he's a woman, we're creating a slippery slope. We're actually giving bad men the green light to exploit that access and harm women in their spaces. As you all heard, Simone was disappointed, was mad at the system, felt like no one took accountability, there were no safeguards. And when she stood up for herself after what happened to her, it was rightfully called brave. But now, when other women speak up against the lack of fairness and safety in the same system, it's like, shut up, you're just a sore loser. What Riley Gaines say about trans women in women's sports is not hateful or transphobic. It's just common sense. Males are stronger, faster, and built differently. That's a fact. It's the entire reason female sports exist. Female-only spaces in general are extremely important, and wanting to keep those spaces has nothing to do with hating trans people or actually hating anyone. It's about protecting women. And in the case of women's sports, it's about fairness, for God's sakes. It's not that hard to understand. I mean, female athletes train their entire lives to get to the top. And now they're being told to either share the locker rooms, the showers, the podium with men, or get lost, get canceled. Doesn't that sound like a system that's willing to let women feel uncomfortable, if not violated, as long as it protects the men and the men's feelings? As you know, the phrase pulling up the ladder behind you refers to someone who's made it to the top, then blocks others from following the same path. I think that's exactly what Simone is doing here. I mean, she's a legend. She won a lot of medals and no one can take them away from her. So it's really easy for her to not care as much about trans women in sports, about the reality, the consequences of it, when she's not the one losing out. Men do not belong in women's sports, period. It doesn't matter how they identify, how long they have been on estrogen. It doesn't matter. There are so many physical differences between men and women. And also, women are females, females are women, and women deserve competition that is fair and respectful. That's all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more content like this, remember to hit subscribe and the notification bell. As always, let me know what you think, and I cannot wait to read your comments down below. Peace out.